Yeah, this is BB speaking.
I have Dave Burl on the other line.
I'm Diamond Dave. I'm an action figure.
19 years writing about music. Dozens of cassettes in a drawer. Get ready for conversations that time very nearly forgot. Dave's Old Interview Tapes.
Hi, I'm Indianapolis Star reporter Dave Lindquist, and welcome to Dave's Old Interview Tapes, a podcast that digs up musical conversations from an era when your cell phone wasn't smart and being on MySpace wasn't dumb. Today's episode is a Van Halen special, featuring a May 2002 interview with David Lee Roth and a September 1999 interview with Sammy Hagar. We'll hear Roth talk about time he spent in Indiana as a youngster.
We had a lake. There were birds, swans, going muskrat and possum hunting.
We'll hear Hagar talk about regrets related to his 1996 exit from Van Halen.
We ain't gonna get any better. We're not gonna start writing better songs. We ain't gonna get happier. We're gonna start getting unhappy and start fighting.
And hear Dave hype a co-headlining tour that featured solo performances by himself and Hagar.
How serious is any brawling attitude between two rock stars? Oh, some open-hand slapping followed by elaborate group therapy.
Our in-studio guest for this episode of Dave's Old Interview Tapes is Rusty Redenbacher, vocalist in the rock band Birdmen of Alcatraz, MC in the Mudkids, and DJ on 93.9 The Beat, and generally one of the top music scholars in Indianapolis. Rusty, how are you?
I'm great, Dave. Good to see you. Good to be here.
I'm very happy to have you here. We go way back.
We do. We go way back. You've been an acquaintance and a friend of mine for pretty close to 20 years now, huh?
That's right.
Yeah. Appreciate you, dude. I'm glad I could be here. This is my first podcast ever as well. So
That's awesome.
yeah, people keep telling me, you should get into podcasting. No better place to start than with you, bro. So here we are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And this is our season 1 finale.
Oh, I'm on the finale?
Yep.
Big time.
Our 8th episode of Dave's Old Interview Tapes. And this is a project that started when I found these tapes. These were interviews I made between 1998 and 2004 at our old building on Pennsylvania Street.
Yeah.
And when we moved, I opened a drawer and found all these tapes. And I thought...
That's cool how that works out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Keep all your hard copies, man. For all you guys listening out there, everybody keep your hard copies.
That is good advice.
Keep them.
So 1998 was when I started at the Star. You were already an established musician around here.
Yeah.
Thanks to the Birdmen.
Been doing my thing with Birdmen, and we were jumping the Mudkids off around that time. We're talking about frontmen here, dude.
That's right.
That's what I do. So I'm happy to talk about these guys with you because, first of all, you know I'm a big Van Halen fan. Huge Van Halen fan. So it's really great to be down here and rap about this, from like the frontman perspective too. Because I always David Lee Roth is actually one of my main influences in terms of frontmanism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can't sing like the guy like that Welpy does that. I could never do that in a million years. But in terms of putting on a show, the guy is absolutely A1, top tier. So when I joined the Birdmen and stuff, that was who was in my head. Just make the show entertaining, you know what I mean? I saw those guys in 1984 at Market Square Arena. It was life-changing.
Nice.
Yeah, love them.
Yeah, 1984 was the 6th and final, but that's a heck of a string of 6 albums.
Those 6 albums, the first 6 Van Halen albums, I will put up against anybody's string of rock albums anywhere. There's really not a bad one at it, those first 6 albums at all. Maybe Women and Children first, you can kind of slide to the side.
Oh.
I'm just saying, you could slide it to the side. Actually, Diver Down too, probably, if we're going to be honest, because all the covers and stuff.
Right.
But I thought it was cool, you know what I mean? I liked it.
Was a crowd pleaser more than an artistic statement.
I dig Diver Down, but a lot of people kind of to the side with it. Personally, though, I would probably say the weakest of those 6 might be Women and Children first, man. That's personal opinion. There's great records on there. Everybody Wants Some is on that record.
Yes.
So you know what I mean? There's Cradle of Rock is on that record. There's no bad Van Halen record in the first 6 albums.
It seemed like Dave's in-studio improv, he was at the height of his powers, I think, on Women and Children first.
I would say that about Fair Warning. You know what I'm talking
about?
Yeah. Hey, you'll get some egg tonight for sure. You know what I mean? He was really live, dude. He was all the way live in the studio on that one.
Hey, man, that suit is you. got some leg tonight for sure.
But that's the album a lot of people consider Fair Warning kind of their darkest album, I guess.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
I love it. I love
Okay.
it. It might be my favorite of the 6.
Okay. So what's cool about David Lee Roth? Born in Bloomington, Indiana.
My man.
Says he learned to tie his shoes in Newcastle. Of the 8 episodes of Dave's Old Interview Tapes first season, every interview has been a phone interview, but this interview with David Lee Roth happened in person
Super tight.
on the lawn of the Q95 studios, because this morning in 2002, he had just done a Bob and Tom show spot, and a publicist said, go catch the end of that and talk to Dave.
That's too cool.
And then Dave's suggestion is, well, let's sit on the lawn here, and my assistant will pull out these martial arts mats out of the trailer of our bus. And he and I sat across from each other
Gosh, he's the real
on these
deal.
martial arts
He's just the
mats.
real deal, dude.
My number one question, and what we'll lead off with today, is his story of his Indiana youth.
My grandparents came to Newcastle in 1908, something like that, and ran a combination general store and cantina for the farmers all the way up through the Depression. My father and several uncles and an aunt grew up in Newcastle.
Were they immigrants?
Oh yeah, Russian.
Yeah.
And to this day, I think you're pretty well formatted by the time you're 5 years old. What I gained from my experience was the great outdoors. Look where we are now. We had a lake. There were birds, swans, going muskrat and possum hunting. I got my first Daisy rifle when I was 7.
Yeah.
Horses, dogs, a foreman named Gene who used Vaseline in his hair. The works, quintessential Americana. Where do you think my metaphors are when I say I'm Diamond Dave? I'm an action figure, and I'm as American as fried chicken and drinking iced tea from a thermos and pulling the weeds next to the sprinkler because Mom forced you to.
Yeah.
That is so Indiana.
Yeah.
I'm as Indiana as the first day of summer vacation.
If only Dave could get excited about his work.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to like talking to you very much. He just seems like if there is anybody I could go to dinner with, you know what I mean? Like I would love to sit across from that guy at a table and just listen and just throw things at him to talk about.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
I love that mental picture. I don't even know. I'm not even sure what it means, but the way he says, "I'm as Indiana as the first day of summer vacation," is very evocative. to me.
I don't know. I guess we'll roll with it.
And I also like the way he kind of frames the way that Kurt Vonnegut always used to say, everything that people like about me is Indianapolis. Dave actually gives props to, those formative years.
Sure does. Gotta love him. Love you, Diamond Dave. You're the greatest.
I definitely remember when he left Van Halen.
It broke my heart.
That was huge.
I mean, it really broke my heart. Like, I was legitimately, like, they were at the height of their powers. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up with them, and we get to that 1984 album, and they just explode.
It
they
all
were
came
already
together.
huge.
It all came together.
Everything made sense. It all came together. And then it was like, well, bye.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for it, man, at all. You know what I mean? It was really like hearing, you lost a friend. Because I looked really forward to every Van Halen album,
And then there was all kinds of speculation what would happen next. And they slip in.
Did he put out that EP while he was still in the band? Or was it right after he had left?
I think it might have
can't
been
recall.
some kind of murky area in there.
Yeah.
Because Eddie was working with Michael Jackson a little bit.
Right.
Everybody was like, oh, what's that mean?
And what's that all about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Played the solo on Beat It, and then like everybody's like, oh, what's all that about? I thought it was pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? I remember the rumor was Eddie sent the solo in so he didn't have to be seen with Michael Jackson. I was like, people are so stupid. Because, you had the rockers didn't want to rock with Michael.
Right.
And, Michael was just trying to put everything together and just make the biggest, most awesome album he could, which he did.
Yeah.
And, I remember kids talking about that at school and stuff. I was like, why wouldn't Eddie's cool. He wouldn't,
Sure.
whatever. And it was just crazy. But the rock kids were dead set against, they thought Eddie was a jerk for playing on Michael's album. I remember this. There were some folks who were just, oh, why would he do that? What a sellout. And now you look back and you're like, why wouldn't you be on Thriller? You know what I mean?
Well, and that specific track is undeniable.
It's a rock song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's solid. So, yeah, man. Eddie's cool. Dave's cool. I guess they just couldn't be cool together.
Did you listen to any Sammy solo records?
I was a big fan of Three Lock Box. I love that record.
Yeah.
Love it. I thought that was just a monster song. But I wasn't really big on, like, you know, some of his other stuff like
Standing Hampton, you remember that one?
I do. I'm familiar with it. I don't recall it, though. And I Can't Drive 55 was pretty much the end for me.
Right.
I was like, this is whack.
Yeah.
You know? I just didn't like that at all.
It was a sign of corniness to come.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, I didn't dig that tune too much. But, you know.
I think the fastest I've ever been in a car as a passenger, and I've never done this as a driver, but I remember like in the back roads of Central Illinois with a friend of mine who was a couple of years older playing Standing Hampton in this, you know, massive boat of a car. Those are the kind of memories that are just seared in your mind.
Yeah, I'm glad you weren't listening to I Can't Drive 55 with that guy, because he would have been really, really, really pushing it. You know what I mean? I guess that's what that song was for, but it never took to me. I never liked it.
So Sammy was in. The commercial success continued to roll.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought they made
5150 was huge.
I thought they made some cool videos during his time in the band. Some decent message songs.
Dreams.
But for me, it just was not. It was never the same.
No, it wasn't the same. It's like if you asked Jermaine Jackson to front the Jackson 5. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not going to be the same. Like, David Lee Roth is such a singular personality and character and voice. You know what I mean? Like, he was the face of Van Halen, so it can't be the same. You know what I mean? If you watch Game of Thrones?
I do not.
Okay. A singer has no face. People know what I'm talking about. That's kind of where it went for me after that. Like, Sammy's cool, and I gave 5150 every chance I could. There's some stuff on 5150 I like. There's some stuff on OU812 I like a lot. I like Finish What You Started. I think that's one of their best songs, period.
Yeah.
I think that song's great. But I like Pound Cake, too. Pound Cake was dope. What album is Pound Cake on?
I don't know.
Yeah, see, I those are the two albums, and I was like, I gave Sammy 2 albums, and past that, I was just kind of growing into new things, and, you know, trends were changing. I was a lot younger at that time, too, so probably wasn't as loyal as I would have liked to have been.
Well, sometimes I wonder about a listener's age and when they encounter something.
Right. Well, like I said, man, you know, I think I heard the first Van Halen album when I was probably 8. You know what I mean? And it was everything. I was like, this is great. You know, I was always a little rock and roll kid, you know, even as a little dude. So I was with them forever. And then when I saw like the video for I saw videos of them on there was this show that used to come on Channel 8, which is CBS.
Right.
It was a syndicated show, and I saw Unchained. That Unchained live video, and there was one other live video they showed on that show, and I think it was called In Concert. It wasn't Don Kirshner,
right?
But it was just like In Concert. I can't remember what it was called, but I saw those videos and I was like, "That's it! They're the greatest band ever. I have to see these guys." Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have the internet to go.
It was every element, the dynamic athleticism, of Dave.
That dude's a monster.
Of course. Eddie's guitar playing.
Pyrotechnique guitar playing is what we refer to that as, Dave. Thank you very much.
Alex had 1,000,000 drums.
1,000,000 drums and a gong.
And I used to...
and then there's a guy over here.
I used to swear
with a Jack Daniels bass.
I used to swear by Michael Anthony's high vocal harmonies.
His harmonies are great.
But I also have to say that the last time Van Halen was through...
Say it. You can say it.
Eddie does a lot of those vocals.
Eddie does a lot, and Wolfgang is
Wolfie
doing
did
a
all
lot
right,
now
yeah.
too. I wish I could have enjoyed that last show they played here a little more. It seemed like Dave was having a little too much fun.
Yeah, Dave was the weak link that night.
Dave was. He kind of, as he's aged, I think he's really gotten into this Vegas thing where he's just like, I'm just gonna have fun, and I'm not really necessarily worried about the melody or any of that. You know what I mean? And it's a live performance, so I think he's taken that and run with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, well, I'm going to reinvent these songs every night to keep them interesting for me at the very least. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But I think I tweeted you something. I told you, I was like, the show was great, except, it seemed like I was waiting for him to play Jump, especially when they played Jump, and he ended up singing Panama during the song. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Dave was really all over the place that night. And, it was still great to see those guys, It was great to see him. And he looked great, you know what I mean? I mean, he's getting around okay, Eddie's got new hips.
Eddie looks so much better than he did in
So
2004.
much better. God bless you, Edward Van Halen. Keep it up. Stay healthy. Keep doing your thing. He looked a lot better, yeah.
One similarity between these interviews is that both David and Sammy were in exile from Van Halen at the time. So it was 99 for Sammy, and he talked a little bit about his exit.
I just think that they were just really stupid. I mean, really, really stupid. The whole David Lee Roth reunion thing for the greatest hits, it was such, Van Halen, we sold 42 million records with me in the band, and it's like, and with Roth, they sold damn near as much. And they had so much success, we made so much money, there was so much fame and fortune that to do anything to try to get more is so stupid and so greedy, and they should be slapped, and that's the only way I look at it. And I look at, now I'm separate from it, so I don't have to be careful about what I say about those guys now, because they're on their own. They made all these decisions, and the manager they got, when our manager died, that got, Gary, he was Gary Sharon's manager, and that's why Gary Sharon's in the band. That's why I'm out. And, the whole night, it's like, was so stupid. Everyone was making so much money. We were so huge to even to around with that was so dumb.
Now, I will say that Sammy does not have the energy when speaking that Dave has, but Sammy is one of the best interviews in rock and roll.
For real.
You just basically say hello,
and he lets it go.
He goes.
Yeah, it seems like he's not holding back. You know
Right.
what I mean? He's not really trying to curb any feelings.
So we need to clean up some chronology here.
Okay.
Sammy was out in 96.
96.
They brought Dave back to record 2 songs for a greatest hits project. There was an embarrassing MTV Awards appearance.
Oh, yeah.
and it looked like, we're going to end the 90s with David Lee Roth back in Van Halen.
Yeah, and then they were like, no, we're just doing a couple songs.
Yes.
Don't worry about it.
And then there was the ill-fated Gary Sharon era.
Man, look. Look, man. No, I have nothing.
What's to say?
Nothing to say. Although Extremes More Than Words is a beautiful record. I will say that. Let's not just dog Gary out.
Okay.
He gave it the college try, but he wasn't for Van Halen.
Which kind of makes Sammy look pretty decent.
It made Sammy look real decent, I thought.
Because
You know what I mean?
he stepped in and kept swinging.
He stepped in, and they really didn't miss a beat. In fact,
Right.
they kept elevating commercially and probably to some extent maybe critically as well.
It was just that difference between seeing Dave leap into your field of view on stage versus Michael, Eddie, and Sammy doing that dumb little choreography walk.
Their little two-step thing they did or whatever it was. Yeah, Dave's got a million tricks on stage, dude. You know what I mean? Yeah, a million tricks. And now, you know what I mean? He's still athletic and stuff. You know what I'm saying? He's out here with samurai swords and stuff now. He may not be doing high kicks and splits like that anymore, but he's still out here moving and grooving the whole show.
Yeah.
The whole show. Just like Mick Jagger. You know what I'm saying? Non-stop. Action the whole time.
Did Mick just turn 75?
Is that right? Jeez Louise.
I have a theory about Mick, is that
he's immortal.
They keep him hermetically sealed. And then, like, at 8 o'clock at night, they let him out. He goes for 2 hours plus. And they put him back in.
They probably mainline, like, Jolt Cola into the guy. Twice the caffeine, go! That guy, he's amazing. You know what I mean? Like, frontman-wise, that's not going to do much better than Mick Jagger.
Right. So back to Dave. In 2002, it was May, and he was starting to get the carnival and circus going because that summer he and Sammy toured.
And I had finally started to let go of the Van Halen. I never let go of the dream, but I let go of the wharf. How far out to sea are you going to get, Diamond Dave, if you continue to hang on to that piling?
Okay.
And Eddie Van Halen is guilty of only one crime in his life, wasted time. How important is a second? That's the guy who almost had a traffic accident.
Yeah.
How important is a millisecond? That's the little girl who just got a silver medal. And I hung on for many summers thinking, this is going to come around. It's almost an inevitable. And as you can see, if I can get along with Sammy Hagar, I can bond with a fire hydrant. As you can see, we're easily to set up on any lawn front. If you want lunch, we'll get you that too.
So it's occurring to me that we're getting one side of the story. Eddie is not represented. We got Dave and Sammy kind of ganging up on him.
Yeah, you know what? You got to get an interview with Eddie now for Dave's new tapes. Dave's new interview tapes.
But it's kind of well documented. Eddie used to use this term. I think he used it for both gentlemen. Lead singer's disease. Now, Russ, as a frontman,
Senor,
tell us how
lead singer's disease affects people,
or how lead singers are misunderstood.
Lead singers are very misunderstood. We're sensitive beings. We spend our time in the front trying to make everybody happy, and all the guys behind us happy too. Okay. So you have to understand, sometimes it's hard for us as lead singers. No, I mean, I know what Eddie's talking about, though, where you get the big head a little bit, and you start to, think that maybe it's more about you than it is the band. Mm. So, because it can happen to anybody, you know what I'm saying? Mick Jagger made a solo album or two.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're horrible, but he did. You know what I mean? So, eventually, I guess lead singers, when you're in the front and everybody they throw your hands up, you know what I'm saying? You go like this and they clap right along with you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You pump your fist, they pump their fist. You start to feel like maybe I could have some more control of what's going on in back of me too.
Right.
Perhaps. I don't know. I try to stay as level-headed as possible, with Mudkids, with Birdmen, with everything that I've been a part of, Lazarus, all that stuff. I always try to, make sure I'm listening to everybody in the band.
Yeah.
And everybody has a chance to contribute and whatever, because it's not my band, it's our band. So I get where Eddie's coming from, because, I hear tell of people who are like this. And, maybe I've had a little touch of it myself, but it's very humbling, like I'm talking about Birdmen. Like, we just got back together, played our first shows in 15 years, and they've been nothing but fun and nothing but great.
Nice.
So, sometimes you just have to kind of just humble yourself and just go rock, man. You know what I mean? Lead singers, we're not necessarily misunderstood. I shouldn't say that, but sometimes, it's a little hard for us to remember that we're not always on stage.
Let's give Sammy one last word on his exit.
It was over. Yeah. When I split, it was right. It was the right time. I should have done it a little earlier. I should have quit. I didn't quit that band. Everyone knows that. But I should have quit the band after the end of the Balance Tour and just shook hands and said, okay, we've done it, folks. We ain't going to get any better. We're not going to start writing better songs. We ain't going to get happier. We're going to start getting unhappy and start fighting. And because that's what happened, But I should have split then, and then I'd have had to been no part of any of it, of the bad stuff. But in a way, I wallered in the mud with them for a year, and that's the only thing I regret.
I mean, it must have been bad for Sammy before the entire recording of that Balance album or whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? Just to hear him talk about it that way. Because why would you leave Van Halen willingly at that time? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I get that there's, big personality. There's probably going to be there's big personalities in that band, big talents. You know what I'm saying? So, and then you got to remember this too. I'm sure Eddie and Alex, the band is called Van Halen, so they probably call some shots. Yeah. But it must have been rough for Sammy, like during that whole recording of that last album, and probably even before that. The last album with him, I mean, that Balance album, which sucks.
I'm not going to disagree with anything you just said about that album.
Yeah, it's got one of the worst album covers too. Jesus.
Is that Wolfie himself?
I think it is. Yeah, they've made Siamese twins out of him. He's on the seesaw. It's such a horrible album cover. It's so bad. So bad. Like, we got a computer and we're going to use it. No.
Okay, so let's bounce forward to 2002, where the management of Dave and Sam say, let's do a Sam and Dave tour.
All right. Sam and Dave.
Exactly.
The other Sam and Dave don't like each other either. Amazing.
There is a rivalry here. A lot of it is headbutting for entertainment value.
Yeah.
How serious is any brawling attitude between two rock stars? Oh, some open hand slapping followed by elaborate group therapy and a reunion t-shirt. I love it. It all smells like sequel to me.
So one of the things about Dave's old interview tapes is my behavior is exposed, and it's kind of cringy to hear me laughing so much.
I don't know.
Dave.
I told you earlier, I don't know how you didn't laugh the whole time. He's so entertaining, man. Like, for real, I can really listen to the guy talk all day. I can listen to you talk for a while, too. But I think Diamond Dave, I'd rather listen to Diamond Dave talk all day. He's great, man. What a character, dude. He's got a million quotables, dude.
He does.
They just roll, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't seem like stuff he's had locked in his head for a long time. It seems like he just fires it off.
And how about those videos that he made for MTV? Right, when he was coming out as a solo act?
Oh, man.
The California Girls video.
Loved it. What about what was
Gigolo.
Justin Gigolo with the Dave TV thing? Was that Dave TV?
Yeah.
I was talking about the intro to, is it Yankee Rose? Is that the video?
Mm-hmm.
The intro to that where he's in the convenience store. Is that
Okay.
right? Where he comes in with face paint.
Right.
You give me whatever and a donut. Go. Remember that?
Yeah.
And man, let's talk about Eat 'Em and Smile. That's a solid album, dude. That's right. I said it. Dave's first.
So his supporting cast included
Steve Vai, Craig Bissonette,
and Billy Sheehan.
Yep. All monster players. Like, he went and put together a monster band to
really
compete
did.
with Van Halen.
He
He knew what he was doing. And they were good, dude. You know what I mean? They were good. I don't know what happened past Eat 'Em and Smile. But I enjoyed Eat 'Em and Smile when it came out quite a bit. I thought Yankee Rose is a great record. I think you could still play that on the radio today and it'd sound fresh.
One of the things that Sammy and I talked about was how he felt liberated once his Van Halen era was over, because he could go back and revisit all of the records that he made
Sure.
before that.
You got to realize, I went 11 years without playing a Sammy Hagar catalog. We used to play One Way to Rock in Van Halen, and we played, once in a while we'd play like a Montrose tune, but very seldom. And once in a while we'd play I Can't Drive 55. And then acoustically I'd do Give to Live or Eagles Fly or something, but not with the whole band. So those are the only songs I got to play for like 11, 12 years of my life. And so when I got back solo again, I started playing songs like Red and Heavy Metal. Oh, man, I'm going, this is a blast, you know? To where if it wouldn't have been for that, I'd be sick of them. I'd be going, I played these songs my whole life. And I'd be one of those guys that would go out and play the whole new album and about 3 old songs and piss the fans off.
What was the song he mentioned?
Heavy Metal.
No, there was another one before that. I couldn't remember the name of
Red.
it before. No, Red.
There's only One Way to Rock.
That's a great record.
Yeah.
That's a great record. I'd forgotten about that one. That's a great record.
So he also mentioned heavy metal, and I remember being a kid who didn't have MTV in my house, but there was that Night Flight show.
Night Flight, hosted by Lisa Robinson on USA.
Yeah.
Man, it was great, dude. I lived for that show.
If you stayed up late enough, you might get some
Friday
heavy
nights.
metal.
Friday nights were great. You might get to see some long form Duran Duran videos.
Right.
Also, as well.
Some
Erga Music War.
Devo with Neil Young.
Yeah.
That
Oh
kind of
man,
stuff.
they did. Night Flight was great. That was great rock and roll television. Yeah. Absolutely.
Now I remember that Sam and Dave tour. Whereas Sammy played a lot of his old stuff, Dave pretty much did 85% Van Halen.
This is a life's work. Getting ready for a tour is not an issue. What I do on stage is a result of 34, 35 years of industrial strength martial arts training. On the other hand, I'm a rock star, not an athlete. All work and no play makes for alarmingly predictable lyrics.
The guy is golden, dude.
He really is.
He's a national treasure. Protect David Lee Roth at all costs.
Do you remember when he was like a paramedic for a minute?
Yeah. He got his paramedic's license in New York,
Yeah.
didn't he? Yeah. And what a life, man. Does he have a memoir out? Because I need it if he does.
I'm wondering if he has a podcast.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we need to look into that. Like, I'll listen to Dave all day.
And a good thing is that in the era of Dave's old interview tapes, he would go through all the cassettes. But in the podcast era, there's enough digital bandwidth. You can just listen to Dave.
You can just talk as much as you need to, dude.
All right. So Sammy, on the other hand, has created a lane for himself in which he's kind of the hard rock Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah, I need you to explain that to me a little bit more because I don't know much about this. I have not kept up with Sammy.
So in the mid-'80s, he bought some land down in Cabo San Lucas.
Cabo Wabo.
And he built a bar there
Right.
called Cabo Wabo.
Cabo Wabo.
And he started pushing that during the Van Halen era. I wonder if that was a source of friction.
Probably. Didn't
Yeah.
they had a song called Cabo Wabo, didn't they?
Right.
That's a solid question. You know, maybe they had a problem with him having a life outside of Van Halen.
Right.
It seems like
The old Metallica, Jason Newsted.
Yeah, it seems like that's kind of what happens with those guys, like with the Van Halen guys. Apparently, It seems like if you have a life outside of what they're doing, because remember, like when David Lee Roth left the band, they were talking about he was going to be in movies and all kinds of stuff. You know, David Lee Roth rumored to be, this, that, and the other. Like, and yeah, I think you might be onto something there. I think Eddie and Alex and now Wolfgang probably need you to be all Van Halen all the time,
But was it Dave who said the only crime was wasting time? And here we are.
Here we are.
Again.
Again.
Nothing's going on. I think recently Eddie said he wants to make another album, but his singer is only interested in techno music.
Yo, the way they go at each other is hysterical to me because, you could tell they like each other, but they irritate the hell out of each other. Like all of them. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. They ain't seem to have a problem with Eddie all the time. Somebody's always mad at Eddie. Edward.
So another thing that Sammy does is he sells tequila.
Yep. That's the Cabo Wabo tequila, I'm well aware.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about that,
Yeah.
but that's his thing. And in '99, he was promoting a record called Red Voodoo, which included the song Mas Tequila, which is a minor, but I guess somewhat memorable Sammy Hagar's
Got me on
single
that
of the
one.
past 25 years. I was kind of joking with him about it not being a real message record. and he said, hold up.
It's a hell of a party record. It's like the message I'm putting out there is that, listen, this is what Sammy wants to do for you right now in his life, and this is what Sammy wants to do in his life. It's like, I want to make you feel good. I want to make you smile. I want to make you have fun like me. And I want to share my lifestyle with you. I want to turn you on to a lifestyle that really works, keeps you happy.
I'm not mad about that. Lifestyle guy, huh? This heavy metal Jimmy Buffett thing is really, I'm still wrapping my head around it.
We have a country Jimmy Buffett in Kenny Chesney.
I'm not familiar. I know the name.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. I'm not terribly familiar with too much about Jimmy Buffett other than
Do we have a hip hop Jimmy Buffett? French Montana?
Jeez. Is there a hip hop Jimmy Buffett? I really don't know. Like I said, I don't know
DJ
much.
Khaled's kind of selling that hedonistic.
Okay, so Jimmy Buffett's pretty much like. I'm just trying to understand. I've never been to a Jimmy Buffett concert. Yeah. I haven't heard a lot of his music. I know, Changes in Latitudes, and then Margaritaville, and I think
it's basically come to the tropics and everything will be great.
Oh,
escapism for
we
landlocked Midwesterners. I think we have a good zinger. To cap the season finale.
Zing it off
for Dave's
Zing it, baby.
This is Dave talking about this massive Titanic scaled Sam and Dave tour, which lasted all of 21 days.
My energy is for around the world. I think that besides any rivalries, there's nothing a shot of Cabo Wabo tequila can't solve.
There you have it.
Look at this thing. I mean, look at Dave trying to help you sell your tequila and everything. Yeah, I love that guy. You know what? I'm not gonna bag on Sammy anymore. I've for a long time I was like, no Van Hagar anything ever. I don't want any Van Hagar.
Yeah.
Nothing. But as time has gone on, and I've grown, and I'm not in my teenage feelings. You know what I'm saying? My favorite front man. Is when you're 13 or 14, your favorite front man leaves your favorite rock band. Hey man, it was traumatic. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I wasn't with the Sammy Hagar thing at all. You know what I mean?
Right.
Nope. Like I said, I gave the 2 records a chance, and that's cool. But now I'm just kind of feeling like maybe I need to revisit Sammy's career with Van Halen, because even to this, once I had all those albums on tapes. Once I went over to CDs, I never bothered buying them.
Yeah.
I bought the first 6 Van Halen records, obviously. Gotta have those.
Now, I had the first 6 on vinyl just because that's what you bought back then.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Well, yeah, I think when 84 came out, I was really into my jam box and my tape decks.
It's interesting, just this thought of how we...
Great album cover, too. Van Halen 1984 is a great album cover.
Interesting, that thought of how we felt when we were kids when the lineup changed. And it's easy to mock, fans of One Direction when their band breaks up. but we should remember.
Totally. Exactly. I try to give the kids a break. I like the stuff the kids like now, you know what I mean? Or whatever it is, like whatever their hot act is and stuff. I get it when they're upset about Harry Styles leaving Spice Girls or whichever band he's in. I can't recall. But you know what I mean? I understand why they get upset now. And I don't begrudge them or give them the blues. But I think I really do need to. This conversation has made me realize I probably need to go check out those Sammy albums again.
Do you have any general thoughts on rock and roll in 2017? Are we heading toward rock as a style will become our jazz or our blues, and it's just not as
oh geez, no, wow. That's tough. No, I wouldn't think so. I think rock and roll is going to be people love guitars, man. You like to see people play guitar. You know what I mean? It's always awesome to watch somebody who can really play. And a band there's nothing like seeing a good rock band, dude.
Okay.
Nothing.
Sometimes I fear that the electric guitar is going the way of the saxophone.
Man. You can't say that. No way.
But
you know what? There are who are the new guitar heroes? Like, are there guitar heroes anymore? I don't know. You might be right.
Not in that shredding, ostentatious way.
Like you could, make a whole band around this guy way. I guess there's not a lot of flamethrowers out there like that anymore. But I don't think rock and roll is ever going away.
I'm glad we have that on.
Yeah, I don't know. You got me saying it. And I'll do my part. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to do my part with Birdmen. We're working on some new tunes and everything. So, yeah, rock and roll is not going away.
Talking about great guitarists.
There you go. Shout out to Dino Codolata, absolute monster guitarist. Shout out to the whole band. Love the Birdmen. And shout out to the Mudkids, too.
Thanks for joining us on Dave's Old Interview Tapes and helping us wrap up Season 1.
All right. You did it, Dave. Congratulations, bro.
In the next few months, I'm going to try to work on Season 2 of Dave's Old Interview Tapes, hopefully coming in early 2018.
Wonderful, wonderful things going on with you, Dave. Thanks for having me, man. I had a great time with you.
Thanks.
No problem, bro.